Hello everyone, real quick before I get into this Twitter topics video, I just wanted to put something out there. I've been getting requests recently that I go back and do some more live commentaries on Zombies gameplay. If you haven't been subscribed to me for a long time, then you wouldn't know, but that's really what got my channel off the ground last year when Black Ops was really popular. I used to do those all the time. So if you guys have not experienced those with me, you can go back and check those out. There's a ton of those series back on my channel from last year. But if you want more of those, please do me a favor and rate this video. I don't care if you like it or dislike it. I'm just going to take all the ratings to mean the same thing. So that's just kind of my way of throwing a big fat middle finger to all the people who would dislike just to be assholes. Like, I don't care. I mean, go for it. Everyone can dislike. I don't give a shit. But I'm just going to go by the total number of ratings. So if I see like 3,000 or 4,000 ratings, that's a pretty good indication that you guys really want to see more live zombie content. And if you don't want to see more live zombie content, that's totally cool. Feel free to leave a suggestion of something else you may want to hear. And by no means, don't think that I just ask for these comments to get comments. I really do go through and I check. So when you guys leave suggestions for topics or questions, I really do see those. So go ahead and take the initiative on that. But anyway, on to the content of the video, which would be Twitter topics and questions. So if you want to get involved in that, you can follow me on Twitter. If not, not going to lose sleep over it. So, first person, Skatehead85, will you go out with my sister? All right, I really don't know how to answer this question. If your sister is above the age of 18, then, you know, sky's the limit. Who knows? But if she is a young girl, then for shame, sir. That is disgusting. You dirty perv trying to set me up with an underage girl. I should report you to the authorities. Anyway, next person. Tofty1106. What are your thoughts on free healthcare? We have it in Denmark, but high taxes too, about 50 to 60%. I'm not sure, like, you'll have to specify on what kind of taxes that means, because, I mean, it's not just taxes are this percent. You know, it's a lot more complex than that. It depends on whether or not you're married. There's corporate tax. It really does depend. So I'd have to do more research into that, since obviously I'm not very well versed in Denmark tax policy or any of that. But free healthcare, I think, is wonderful. It's an objective fact that if you look at Canada and European nations that have implemented universal healthcare, they have much higher success rates as far as people being happy with their healthcare system, in addition to the fact that a vastly smaller, that's a weird kind of way to phrase that, but a much smaller number of people actually die from preventable diseases. And what people don't know is that the U.S., the United States, the most powerful nation in the world, has like the 40th infant mortality rate. Like, we are terrible at keeping kids alive right after birth. And that really shocks me when I looked that up, just because since we're here in the U.S., all of us Americans are just told day in and day out how badass America is and how we should all be so proud of it regardless of what we do. But I mean, that kind of patriotic propaganda is pretty much available in every country, I assume. But as far as thoughts on free healthcare, I think it's wonderful, and we should definitely do that, since there's really no excuse for 40,000 people to die a year due to lack of healthcare, when we're a really affluent nation that could easily afford to help pay for these people and give them longer, more fulfilling lives. So as far as I can see, I think it's morally bankrupt that we don't have free healthcare. Andrew Bailey, can I get a shout out for my Let's Plays? Yep, Andrew Bailey 96, shout out for your Let's Play, there it is. And next person. What is the gayest, literally, thing you have ever had to do? What is the gayest thing I've ever had to do? Gayest thing I've ever had to do. Let me think on my memory. Well, I guess there was that time when I was like 4 and my uncle held me up with my pants off and he just licked my butthole for a little while. But I think that was just like, you know, all in good uncle fun. Like, that was just for fun. He told me to just keep it a secret. It wasn't a big deal. You know, that's what uncles do. That's what uncles do. You know, it wasn't weird or gay. That's just like that's just a way you show you love. You know, that's just a way you love your uncle. So that wasn't really gay. So I guess nothing. You know, if that's all I have, I guess nothing. Mr. Royalist Crown, your opinion on the whole Muslim equals terrorist matter. Why is it so extreme, and what are the solutions? Honestly, I really don't run into any of my friends or people in real life who actually take that belief and say, oh, all Muslims are terrorists. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. Now, I'll grant it to you that people are much more likely here in the U.S. to assume that all Muslims are terrorists and, you know, conflate all of Islam to the actions of a few extremists than they are to conflate all of Christianity to the actions of the Westboro Baptist Church, or to the actions of that guy in Norway who killed a bunch of people, or to the actions of a person who bombs an abortion clinic, or anything like that. So for me, I always think it's interesting when like a Christian will get like super defensive and say, oh, all Muslims are terrorists, or like, oh, Islam is a religion of violence, and they'll cite all of those terrorist examples. And meanwhile, all the people who have ever bombed abortion clinics, all the horrible atrocities that have been committed by Christians, they just say, oh no, that's just a crazy lunatic. That guy doesn't actually represent us. It's just a very patent example of the no true Scotsman fallacy, which is essentially anytime someone in your in-group does something that is not congruent with the action or beliefs of your group, you just say, oh, they're not really in the group, they're extreme, they're crazy. And that's the same thing that Christians do to the Westboro Baptist Church, and it's the same thing that the Westboro Baptist Church does to Christians. It's the same thing that every religious sect does to every other one under the same umbrella, like a Methodist will look at a Lutheran and say, oh yeah, you're not a real Christian 100%, like maybe you got some of it right, but you're really not. And by no means is that speaking for every subsect of religion, because people are certainly different. But that's how I feel about the whole Muslim terrorist thing. I think it's ridiculous, and I really haven't run into many people, at least in my age bracket, that thinks this is true. And if they do think that's true, then that's very, very sad. Alright. Nico Matt 01. Do you know any other languages besides English? I do not. I took Spanish for like 7 or 8 years as a kid. 7 or 8 years, think about that, at my grade school. As a kid, they taught me Spanish for 7 or 8 years, and right now, the only words in Spanish that I can think of are, well, I'm not going to name food-related ones, because that gives me a lot. Like, I really don't know if chalupa is a real word, but that's like half of my vernacular in Spanish. I know that perro is dog, I think, and I know that gato is cat, and I know hola, and I know sopapilla. And sopapilla is my favorite word in Spanish. I don't really know 100% what it means, but I'm pretty sure it's that delicious kind of pastry that has the like cinnamon sugar stuff on it. Or maybe it's not cinnamon sugar, I don't know, but I know it's good. So I do not speak any language aside from English because the grade school that I went to, words cannot properly articulate how poorly this woman was at teaching Spanish. It was unbelievable. Like, if I were to go back as an adult now and sit in the back of that classroom and look at the way this woman was teaching us, I would have probably vomited in disgust. Because, like, when you're a kid, when you're like a 7-year-old kid, and they're teaching you Spanish, you don't know the difference. You don't know how you're supposed to teach language. You don't get it. But looking back, like, we would just sit there aimlessly and just write in, like, words that just for no reason. We didn't understand the context. We didn't understand past or present tense. We didn't understand anything. It was basically us just memorizing random-ass words for no reason. Like, all of the, like, I can still remember, the only unit I remember from any foreign language was when we had to learn how to say, like, the happy clown and the sad clown and the angry clown and shit like that. And I still, even at the time, even as, like, a 7-year-old, I was like, Jesus, if I ever go to Spain or to Mexico or anywhere like that, there's no way that any context could possibly arise in which I would need to ask them, where is the happy clown? Like, there's none. Not a single one. There's no way that that would need to be asked. Like, that's just ridiculous. So, as far as that goes, I guess, I'm monolinguistic. Is that the right term? I don't know. But, I've also taken Italian, but I don't know that either because I just hate learning other languages, which is ironic because I really like learning new words in English and trying to expand my vernacular here. And by here, I mean in my present language. Anyway, next person. Oh, Reboundzo. How and why did you get into YouTube? I got into YouTube back about 2.5 years ago on my first account, and then that account got taken down, and now I have my current account, which is Xcaponed. And I got into it mainly because I watched people like Blame Truth, I watched XCal, I watched Only Is Me Blade, I watched Woody and CNanners and Hutch, and I watched all those people, and I noticed that every time that they played online, they would only play with other commentators. And I really, really wanted to get to know these guys, and so I figured I'll make my own channel and be a commentator, and then maybe I'll get to know them just because, it's kind of a community. And at this point, keep in mind, Woody's gamertag had like 10,000 subscribers when I made my channel. Like, it was just, and that was a lot at the time. Like, 10,000 was huge, and like Hutch was at like 60,000 or something, and it was just ridiculous, like how giant that seemed at the time. So that's really why I got involved in it. There was no money, and like there was no chance for money, no chance for like fame or notoriety or anything. It was pretty much just because I wanted to get to know the other commentators. So, there's your answer. But anyway, that's all I got to say for now on this one. I'll continue some more of those later. But remember, if you do want some live commentaries, please do me a favor and let me know what map you want. And also let me know with a rating. Anyway, talk to you guys later. And I love you.